never really do preparation. We caught that, didn't we?
I think so. Nice. Good job, Seb.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special May long weekend edition of At the Inn. I am Matt, here as always with Sebastian, who does no prep, as we've just heard, and Mike.
Good evening.
Gentlemen, good evening. How's your long weekend going? And most importantly, here on the 21st of May, happy 43rd birthday, Empire Strikes Back.
Hey, it's just in the cards, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It was.
It was meant to be.
I like to keep my chats fresh and, impulsive, so to speak. And, so that's why I don't like.
Are you trying to defend your no prep?
No, I do some prep. It's just some weeks I don't have a lot of time to do stuff.
No, okay. Well, we're all busy people.
Yeah, it's hard. The combined knowledge of mankind is not easy to access. So,
no. Yeah, I mean, I did watch it on Thursday. I rewatched it. So, yeah.
So you watched one of the updated extra CGI versions, did you?
I assume so. It's whatever was on Disney Plus. So I assume it's the updated versions, right?
Doctor.
Yeah.
And so let's dive in. So you wanted to watch it at more of a critical level, right? As opposed to a fan.
I did.
Okay.
It's so different in terms of like Star Wars. When you watch it, the New Hope, it's like it's just meant to be like a space opera kind of sort of, right? Like it's just like here's a space movie, there's lightsabers, boom. Then you get to Empire, and it's like every character has its own personal story.
Yeah,
like it just definitely hones in on a journey for each of the characters, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's a very different movie in terms of like it's still got your lightsabers and battles and whatnot, but it's so much more personalized to the characters than the bigger picture. Star Wars introduces you to the IP, or New Hope introduces you to the IP, to lightsabers and to the Death Star and the Galactic Empire and all that kind of stuff. This makes it more about Han and Leia and Luke and Darth Vader. Like it's their story now. So,
do you think that's because George didn't write this one?
Probably. There's a very good chance.
Better dialogue, deeper topics.
Yeah, because
dialogue for sure.
He was very hands off on this one because Irvin Kershner directed it.
Yeah,
I can't remember who wrote it, but it wasn't George.
I do have that. It was
he wrote the story.
Lawrence Kasdan and Lee Brackett were credited as the writers, and Irvin Kershner was the director of this one. He did have to take a step back. He was deep into the corporate side of the creative. Mm-hmm. He had developed ILM. He had Skywalker Sound going. He was a very busy man when they got around to this. And then, of course, he had all the merch and the marketing going on as well. Yep. He just flat out didn't have time.
Yep.
Which, fair enough.
Which benefits all of us, I think.
I think so.
I think it did.
And I think, he had to write Raiders of the Lost Ark as well, be part of that before Empire came out. That was 79, I believe, for Empire or for Raiders. So yeah, he's got a couple hands in the cookie jar, a couple different cookie jars.
It is very common for someone that's creating a story. There's two credits when you're writing a movie, right? There's the story credit and the screenplay credit. So the story is the general story, and then polished screenwriters will usually take your story and funnel it down to fit a movie setting. They'll clean up the dialogue, they'll clean up the scenes to make it fit the timeline of a movie better. But you can definitely tell the dialogue is so much better in this. Yeah. So
a lot more humor too. The humor is sort of more genuine.
Oh, especially when you meet Yoda for the first time, that whole thing's a comedy bit.
Yeah. Or even just the way Harrison Ford acts when everybody's so much more an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? And he's all in. He's
the whole bit. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm gonna put a pin in this for just a second.
Sure.
The Raiders came out after this, so he was probably splitting his time between those two projects. He would have been in pre-production for Raiders, if not actual filming, as he was also trying to do the production on Empire.
I got my stuff backwards.
Have you guys?
And that's fine. It was just an interesting meld there because I mean Spielberg and Lucas were deeply enshrined in both of these two franchises, as well as Harrison Ford, right?
So you guys know the theory of Indiana Jones is Harrison or is Han Solo's dream while he's in carbonite, right?
Oh, I've never heard that.
I've heard that.
Really?
Nonsense.
No, I've never heard that before.
If you look at a lot of the things that happen in Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Temple of Doom, there's major references to Star Wars. Like his plane at the beginning when he's running from the tribesmen that are firing arrows at him. After the whole ball rolls, like if you actually look at the code of the plane, it's CP30.
Oh, that's funny.
It's some acronym of it.
They slid some little inside Easter eggs in there.
Little Club Obi-Wan and Temple of Doom.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? See, there you go. I mean, I don't actually believe it, but it's just an interesting fan theory.
No, it's one of those fan theories. Somebody had an extra gummy and say, dude, man, yeah, totally. Been there.
Yeah, you have.
Back in the day, I understand that mentality. Yep. And then there's the theory that from whatever that movie Harrison Ford did a while ago is that when he was up in Alaska with the dog, it's like, oh, when the mushrooms wear off and you realize you're not a space pirate running through the galaxy with a giant talking.
Yeah.
But no, they did throw a bunch of Easter eggs in there between the two movies for sure. And it was one of those, you can't really call it a shared world because Star Wars is supposed to be in a different galaxy and
a long time
ago. But at the same time, it's a fun little knock. You guys slide in there.
You guys do bring an important point up though. It is a much funnier movie. Also a darker movie in the same sense. There's so many comedic elements in the movie, right?
Oh, absolutely.
To you, what is the best comedic line in the movie?
Should I get out and push?
That's a solid one.
That's one of my favorites.
I mean, the classic one that everyone's going to talk about is "I love you." I know.
No, you let me down.
That's the classic one, right? But I don't know if I can.
The best for me, the best comedic line and the best line in the movie will always be, "I thought they smelled bad on the outside."
No, I disagree with you.
Absolutely.
I think the best bit entirely is when he meets Yoda for the first time, and Yoda is just like a tiny little scavenger. He's fighting with R2-D2 over. Just give it to him, R2, and he's like, ah, walking with the.
You've seen the man work, R2. Jesus.
Yeah.
I know, that's the whole funny thing is R2 knows all this shit, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. This is just funny.
Yeah, but Luke can't understand R2. Luke doesn't speak.
I don't think so.
Luke doesn't speak binary.
Yeah, everybody seems to understand R2.
Yeah, when R2's going off with the beeps and boops, they're all like, "Oh yeah, we got that." Yeah,
didn't they retcon that in the third movie or something, where he had his memory erased or something? R2, like they purged his memory.
See, there is a throwaway line in Revenge of the Sith. I think.
Yeah, I remember something about that. Right?
Leia's dad says something like, "Take the droid away and wipe his memory." Now, apparently the exact line can only be directly applied to C-3PO. I think people are just reaching for that, and it's like, no, the line was both droids. It's like, oh, well, it's just the protocol. Oh, no, it's just this. There's something in the wording of the line that when people nitpick at it, it can indicate that only one of them got their memory wipes. Which
I think
honestly, go ahead, Mike.
At the end of was it episode 3 when they?
Well, that's your movie, Mike. So you tell us.
They say, "Fuck you." Because Antilles, was it Antilles? He says, "Wipe the protocol line's droid," and R2 laughs at him.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do remember something about they did mentioned that Archie's memory was wiped before the New Hope or something.
Yeah.
There is a throwaway line towards the end of episode 3 where it's take the wipe the memory, and then nitpicky people online are like, no, he said this exactly, which means that R2 didn't. And to me, that's a lot like if I tell one of the kids to deal with the dishes in the dishwasher, they unload it, but because the dish is sitting next to the dishwasher waiting for their turn, or not in the dishwasher, like, oh, nope, not my job. Not my job. I was just
a very child mentality
for dishwasher. Like, no,
you didn't tell me to put the shit in the dishwasher. You just told me to take stuff out of it.
I know it's a clean plate, but it's not technically in the dishwasher, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it's empty. Touch that stuff. You put it back in.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's exactly it. It's like, so you did exactly what I said to do and not what I meant. And to have only wiped one of those 2 droids' memories, I'm sure somebody would have gone, "You did what? You stupid."
Yep.
You're fired. So let's start off chronologically.
Can we go back to the writing of this first? Because I just found some really interesting stuff. Because Lee Brackett, she passed away in 1978, so she wrote the first draft. She wrote the very first draft of Empire in about 76, 77, I guess. Mm-hmm. And some of her story is this is really long. I don't want to read the whole thing, but shout out to Den of Geek. This is where I'm reading this from. But it sort of covers a lot of like Hoth is on there and sort of stuff. But interestingly enough, I was scrolling down, and the Empire, you don't see them until they're at Vader's castle in her story, which kind of resembles sort of Marvel Comics of nowadays, because Vader has his own castle and all that stuff. And
so they don't go to Hoth?
No.
How do they get off the planet? Or does Luke just have a vision?
There's different ways to the vision.
There's different ways to the vision. It's a lot of it. Yeah, it's a first draft, so it's pretty.
I'm looking at some of her stuff, and she's got some pretty heavy duty credits. She's got a bunch of John Wayne movies in here, some Alfred Hitchcock stuff.
She was big in the 70s sci-fi world.
She was, and then here's the other thing about her IMDb credits. What year do you think her last credit was?
Well, she passed away in 78, right? You just said?
Uh-huh.
So 78.
No.
She's credited for this in 1980.
Yeah.
Her last film credit is currently the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga from 2022.
No shit.
So she's still getting credit for having written Empire. Yeah. And then she's getting a lot of credits for, other Star Wars stuff that has come out since then, in 96 and 2006. It's video games, it's shorts. I mean, she's still getting her props for what she did, for whatever of hers made it through the writing process. She's still getting credit for it, and that's
the opening of the movie. Actually, it says a rough draft begins not with a shot of deep space, but a fade in on an ice planet which isn't named. Luke and Han are riding their snow lizards, are on the planet looking for life forms that might endanger their rebel base, which Brackett describes as an ice castle.
Interesting.
Yeah, right.
Well,
so
it wasn't quite underground.
No.
Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, somewhere, and I'll have to pull it out for next week, I do have a couple of Star Wars coffee table books, and one is on the planets.
Oh, okay.
And so the lore there is, well, obviously it was sort of made up after the fact, but they found natural caves that they could use, and then sort of tunneled in between them and connected them all. So I mean, the movie itself started out with one of my favorite pieces of trivia from all time. And you remember when we would go to the bar and you would get those little trivia machines?
Oh yeah.
We could sit there for hours with the little trivia deals.
Yep.
One of those questions was, what was the first word in Empire? Only one of us got it right. And there was I don't know if either of you two were there, but there were 6 or 8 of us there doing it. What is the first spoken word in The Empire Strikes Back?
Give me a minute.
I don't know. Something is it Chewbacca yelling?
No.
Nope. See, everybody got it wrong.
Is it Luke calling Han?
Yeah.
and it's something about there's not enough life on this rock to. Oh, fuck, what was it? It's
Echo.
Echo 3 to
Echo 3 to Echo 7.
Echo 7. Yes.
Yeah.
Han.
So the
Oh,
first
buddy, are you
spoken
there?
word
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Echo, and only one of us got it right because we're all like, "Oh, it's long, long ago in the galaxy." No, it's not. It's Echo. Echo 3 to Echo 7. Hondo, buddy, you there?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Right. And then
That's right.
they used this scene to cover up what could have been an absolute tragedy for the entire series of Mark Hamill laying his motorcycle down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So did they write in the attack by the Yeti? Yeah, I don't remember what Yeti creature or whatever.
Yeah.
That was written in to
cover
retcon his injury in his
right.
car accident, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when you see him in the base and when you see him in the snow, going face down, screaming another man's name or moaning another man's name. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It is because he laid his motorcycle down.
Yeah.
And so they
I like
wrote all
that scene though. It gives you. It's a good scene. Like
it's an all right scene. It's really only there to cover for the injuries and to show that Luke has been sort of practicing, right? Because that's the only thing you get out of it.
But it gives you it gives you a couple things, right? Yeah, it gives you Luke and his advancement in his force abilities. He's been training on his own. Also, it creates a bond between Luke and Han that you didn't have in the first one, right? They are now immediately, you see them as Han is the guy that I don't care about the snow. I have to go save my best friend.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a huge character point.
And I'll see you in hell.
It's a save the cat moment for the character, right?
Yeah,
so,
it's one of those things that shows Han is also growing as a character. Like this entire movie is character development, right?
Yeah.
It's what you were pointing at earlier on. It's all character development. It's Luke getting to a certain stage, but he's still got some character flaws that we mentioned. He's a bit of a whiny little bitch.
Little bit
throughout this movie as well, even though he's growing. I mean, Han is coming to terms with the fact that he's grown feelings for another woman. Or a woman.
Luke's defiance for his training in the middle part of the movie, which we can get to later.
Well,
right?
We'll get to that because he has a hell of a personality shift in those two scenes too. Like there's a bit of a WrestleMania 13 moment where it's a double turn. At any rate, it's one of those things where it shows that Han is really attached himself to this crew because he's not leaving Leia either.
No.
Right? Like as when shit breaks loose, he's like, can't get her to
you. He is at the beginning of the movie. That's why they have the whole argument. Like, why are you following me?
That's right.
Why don't you tell me how you really feel about me? Yeah. Right? But he basically says, I have to go because Jabba's hunting me, and if I stay here, I'm going to get caught. Yeah. Which ultimately ends up happening. He gets caught and put into carbonite, right? But which is another way down the road.
It's a whole deal down the road. But it is showing that they have made advances and that Leia is not just the damsel in distress.
Hell no.
She is now
in command,
a full-blown military figure. She's right up there. She's not at the top of the chain, but she is definitely up in command. She's definitely somebody that they're willing to hold an evacuation shuttle for as everything is going around. And she is willing to put herself on the line to make Han jealous. Now, I can't imagine the realization at some point off camera in the third movie where she goes, ew, that was my brother. Ew, that was my brother. Because she lays one on Luke, and then Luke just sits back and just with the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. Yeah. He kind of rolls his tongue through his cheek, leans back, and Han's just like, okay, I just saved your life, and you're just gonna
scruffy looking nerve herder.
Scruff. And you know what? I got a friend of mine that I refer to him as that.
Nice.
As a nerf herder.
As a scruffy looking nerf herder.
Who's scruffy looking?
Right? We were talking about comedy as well in the movie, but I love the recurring problem with the hyperdrive on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
It's so many times like, all right, punch it, Chewie. Like they just it'll never works through the entire movie. Well, at the very end it does when they
finally it doesn't get old either because they did it a number of times.
Oh yeah,
but it makes sense though, right?
And
because first of all, it's damaged. Second of all, like later on they didn't have time to fix it, and then
the Empire deactivates it, and then
when they're at Cloud City, whatever, the Empire deactivates it, right? So it makes sense because there's a different problem every time, but it's funny every single time.
Well, I think we've all had that where, like, I know I've gone through it, at work a couple of times in a few different jobs actually, where it's like, okay, we're set up, ready to go. Yeah. Oh, mother. And there's
always something.
It's like, somebody ends up throwing a hard hat across a loading dock because it just won't work right. And you've tried 15 times. Now this goes back to, it's always Chewie that's losing his mind over the thing because he's the one hands-on fixing it. Now, I know Mike saw it, and I think you saw it as well, but the voiceover, the original audio track where it's Peter Mayhew giving the lines, my favorite is definitely him sitting on top of the Millennium Falcon right after Luke is back and before, the Empire lands, where he's like, "Where have you been?" He's like, I'm just gonna go to. Well, tell him we're leaving. It's like, I'm gonna and hurry up. And like he's just ripping into Han. He's like clearly the one. He's doing all the work on the ship. He's trying to get him out of there so they can sort out that piece of business. And he's just had enough. I would love for somebody to be able to find and clean up the original audio for every other time the hyperdrive fails, just to hear what comes out of Chewie's mouth.
Might be a couple F-bombs.
Oh, you know what? Rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so from like a writer perspective, from like a story creator perspective, what they've done with Han and Chewie is you don't need to develop the fact that they have a relationship because they already have a relationship. You just throw them in a scenario like two best friends would argue over, right? Absolutely. And it's immediately imperative.
Yeah.
Like just in them arguing about simple stuff, like hand me the blah blah blah, not that, like just all the stuff, or how Chewie puts the basket of tools right on the very edge and it like falls and knocks him on the head. Like that is just golden best friend material, right?
Absolutely.
Like there's nothing.
We don't need that. We don't need
to explain about how they became friends. They just are, right? And you buy it immediately.
That would do that to me, by the way, just so everybody knows. He would put tools in the most awkward spots so they would fall on my head.
I mean, I'm not denying that wouldn't happen.
We all do it to each other, and we'd point to the third one and go, "Watch this shit."
Yeah, right.
Right.
That's
just
we would take bets on which tool would have hit Mike's head first.
Basically,
the wrench, the hammer, the screwdriver.
Pretty much, and that's a thing that. Even in Solo, they didn't really touch on. It's like, okay, they got into a fight and they escaped and together, and it's like, they're just boys. They're just boys. They're just this is my partner.
Yeah,
as Kevin Smith would say, my hetero life partner.
That's right.
Okay, so just skipping ahead a little bit, which is a question that I had. My one question that I wanted to talk to you guys about is in Dagobah, when Luke sees his reflection in Vader, like when he meets Vader, what does that signify to you guys?
That he's going down the path to turn into Darth Vader.
So when he sees his face after he strikes.
So I see it as Luke is scared of doing that.
Yeah, because Yoda told him, he's like, what did he say? You only take in... So he didn't need to take any weapons.
He said, what's in there? And then Yoda goes, only what you take with you.
So
and he took his lightsaber with him,
and then straps the
blast,
gun lightsaber back on.
So how should he have reacted in that?
He should have,
because he's going to come face to face with Vader, and his initial impulse is to put his lightsaber on and attack him.
That's his fear talking, right?
Yeah.
So if we went in with no weapons, knowing that, basically doing what Yoda said. Just take in only, just go in. And then I don't even think Vader would have showed up.
I also think that Yoda is really pushing him hard. Like
of course he is.
He's pushing him harder than any other Jedi has been pushed in his training. Because everything is like, you have to do it now. You have to do it now.
You got 3 days, man. Let's go. Let's get this done.
Okay, well, hold on. No, okay, so you guys just raised a bunch of points that I want to get to. First off, Vader still would have shown up because that's what Luke fears the most.
Because
Right
you're
now,
facing your fear, right?
Is he absolutely is scared of Vader and scared of going down the path of the dark side. He doesn't know yet that Vader's his father.
I don't think he's scared of going down the dark path. I think Yoda's the one that's scared of Luke going down the dark path.
No,
Luke doesn't even know about the dark.
I think Luke is fairly scared of that as well, because that cave is a reflection of your fears. Yoda is pushing Luke, absolutely, because I mean he's old. He's not a youngling. He's not
like
a Padawan.
Years old.
He's never gonna have a Padawan. Yoda is aware that his time is short as well. He is living for 20 years in a swamp, doing whatever exiled Jedis do in swamps. A lot of Force communion. He's got to have reached out to a bunch of the dead Jedi that can do that. You got to assume that he's been going back and forth with Obi-Wan. Right.
Yep.
So he knows time is short. He knows like this might be the last opportunity for somebody to get Vader and get the Empire. And the other point is
he contradicts that when Luke's flying away anyway.
Yeah.
Right. When Obi-Wan says, "Oh, that boy's our last hope," and then Yoda is like, "No,
there is another.
There is another." But then he's got to go through the whole trying to get to Leia and hoping that Leia doesn't get got in between, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Although there's extra lore around it that we don't need to really fall down the rabbit hole. My third big thing about this movie is, yes, Luke is being ridden hard. The worst, and I mentioned this in our first episode this month, they do a shit job of explaining the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
An absolute shit job.
Yeah.
Because when you watch the movie, you feel like it's just like day after day after day after day. Like
when you watch it, it feels like it's only been a couple of days between the thing on Hoth and
Dagobah,
the end of Cloud City.
Yeah.
Right. It flat out can't be.
It's got to be months, if not a year or two.
Oh, absolutely.
It's got to be weeks at the very least, because
I agree.
They are stuck. They don't have a hyperdrive, so that asteroid belt is not that far from Hoth.
So okay,
right? And then following that, they finally get away, and they have to putt along without a hyperdrive to another solar system, in another planet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is not going to be the light speed, quick and easy form, right? Like, one, it's got to be a relatively nearby system, but still, it would take weeks.
Yeah.
And
it takes some time.
So
sure.
you got to hope that they have some food stored on the Falcon, and toiletries and whatever else, because Chewie ain't the only thing hairy getting off that ship if they've been on there for weeks. And I think that's probably the biggest flaw I could say about this particular movie is there is time enough for Luke to have learned all this. Yeah, he's still going to be pushed hard.
Yeah.
I'm reading something different. I don't know if it's true. It says, I'm looking at Screen Rant about the timeline, and it says the timeline of the movie is exactly a month from beginning to end. So
I can buy into that, because I mean, you're still looking at a solid month of Luke on Dagobah, just going full.
Yeah. A couple of days on Hoth, and then he's on Dagobah for the next 27 days.
Yeah,
and the movie's over.
I think that might be possible. George Lucas probably didn't think about the timeline of what it would take to train a Jedi before they just did the timeline for the movie.
Yeah.
Right. And then afterwards, he's like, he probably should have been there for a couple of years, really.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
And, where this ship, as fast as it might be, is still not using a hyperdrive to go between solar systems. So, that's it's just one of those things where the timeline's just a little bit hinky. Mm-hmm. But for years, it's just like, Yeah, but he's only there for like 2 days. How do you learn all this in 2 days?
Yeah, right.
And then the other timeline
Well,
is they,
to be fair, he is the strongest Force Jedi ever, right? Canonically throughout the history, he is like
Luke?
the number. Yeah, Luke. Don't look at me like
Okay.
that.
No, I'm looking at you like that because I'm going to argue it's his dad. But okay, I mean,
No.
I haven't looked up the canon on it, so I would argue Vader because I mean Vader was
Because Vader was more powerful than the Emperor. The Emperor kept
right.
him in a cage, basically, with that suit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, okay. So, well, the first thing I looked up, they have Yoda as number 1. They have Luke Skywalker as number 2.
Okay.
Although I don't know if I trust this list because they have Mace Windu as number 3.
Well, Mace was powerful. He just wasn't very smart.
Okay, sorry. They don't count the Sith in this. So it's Yoda,
okay.
Luke,
Okay.
Mace, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Rey, and Ahsoka is like the top 7.
Okay, yeah. So they're talking strictly Jedi.
Yeah.
That, you know what, I can get behind that. Yeah, because you're gonna cut. Because I mean, the Emperor is obviously a BMF. Vader is clearly a BMF.
Yep.
And you know, when you look up Sith Lords, like these guys were all not to be trifled with.
What about Finn? He was a pretty bad motherfucker, too.
Finn? Wow. Okay.
Well, no, I'm just.
We can unpack that when we.
It's the episode. It's
when we get into that particular trilogy. It's and those.
I'm just joking. I can't stand Finn. He's the
Actually,
worst.
this is an interesting one here.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is another one which has the top 10 Force users.
Mm-hmm.
The most powerful Force users in Star Wars canon. At number 10, they have Count Dooku. Number 9, they have Kanan Jarrus. I don't even know who that is.
Kanan Jarrus from Rebels. Yeah. He was awesome.
Number 8, they have Rey. Number 7, they have Anakin Skywalker. Number 6, they have Snoke. Number 5, they have Emperor Palpatine. Number 4, they have Mother Talzin. I don't even know who that is either.
Yes, and it's another Clone Wars thing.
Yeah. Number 3 is Yoda. Number 2 is Obi-Wan. And number 1 is Luke Skywalker. And they have reasons for it all, right? But I won't get into it.
No Ventress or Darth Maul. That's interesting.
It's
yeah.
That's, you know what, I would like to read that. Maybe
let me. It's one paragraph. Let me read it to you real quick. Okay, but when we look at the awesome displays of the Force, no one can top Luke Skywalker. Some might question my choice at first, but because we all remember Luke as the punk kid on Tatooine. They use the power converter quote there. But Luke defeated Darth Vader in combat, no small feat. He also learned how to draw on both light and dark, force choking Jabba's guards even as he controlled his anger. Luke was the first Jedi in generations to understand the need for balance, and like only a handful before him, he ascended to immortality at his death. But the single greatest example of raw power in the Force was Luke's effort in The Last Jedi, where he force projected himself halfway across the galaxy.
Hell yeah.
Not just as a ghostly image, but as a figure who could talk, touch, and even duel with the people on Crate. Yes, the effort killed him, but in so doing so, he saved the rebellion and proved once and for all the Skywalker saga is named after him.
Yeah,
that's pretty hard to argue, man.
Hard to argue.
That was pretty badass. I gotta say.
That was so sick. That was so good.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with there. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna.
It's a debatable conversation, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I see it. Like maybe not until the last 3 could you see Luke's true power of where he got to, right? But so, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's.
But it makes total sense to have Luke as number 1, really.
I mean, it's called the Skywalker saga, so you have to have him.
Kind of have to.
Do you think George Lucas wanted to? I mean, it's in the name, right? Luke. It's an embodiment of who he wants to be.
Absolutely.
You know what? It's entirely possible, right? Like sometimes you just got to do a little something for yourself.
Yeah.
I think his original name was Luke Starfighter. I think.
No, it was it Star? It was something Star. What was it? Star Screamer? No, that's from
I think it was Starfighter, wasn't it?
Let me look it up.
Look it up. So we looked that up. So, well, we're talking about the comedy, and we're talking about Luke's training. So,
Star Killer.
Star Killer, yeah.
Star Killer.
But then they said a Jedi wouldn't be a killer, so they had changed the name.
And
I
they
remember
used
that now.
for the base in episode 8.
Oh, okay. I watched something about the Star Killer base thing with Neil deGrasse, whatever.
deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. So they talked. So they talked about that specific aspect of like harnessing a star for raw power, and he said they massively and grossly undervalued the sheer power that you could get from harnessing a star. Like, never mind killing a bunch of planets, you could kill hundreds upon hundreds of solar systems just with the panel of one star. Yep. So I was like, I thought that was fascinating where they're like, yeah, they just underrepresented the sheer power that they could harness in just the power of a star. So
that's the thing is they set it up so that it wasn't going to eat the entire star too, right? It's just we're going to power it up, we're going to fire this off. So he's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But then you have just like we're just going to set this one to stun, not the planet, like
not obliterate life.
The galaxy's going to be stunned at what we just did, but we're only going to take out 3. We just need 3.
Instead, they harnessed the power of nostalgia, so everybody would go see it.
And it worked.
It worked very well.
So
I like the last 3. I don't know. I think they're great.
I'm with you.
I actually think they're great. They're way better than the prequels. Fight me, man.
Anything's better than the prequels. Come on.
I'm with you on this. I cried in the theater at the end of episode 9 there. So we'll get into that another day. Yeah. We've got some hard outs here, so let's roll on. So Yoda goes from this cute little hermit weirdo that is annoying the shit out of Luke, and probably having some fun beating the piss out of his old buddy.
Well, I have a theory on why he's doing that.
Hold on,
he's testing him.
He's 100% testing.
100%.
Well, he's specifically testing his emotions.
His patience.
Yes.
His patience and his emotions. Because he wants to see how triggered he can get. Because if he can get triggered, he's like, I can't teach him because he's just going to flip to the dark side.
He's daddy over here. That's just the way it goes. Yeah, right.
That's exactly where I was going with that. But it's the way they accomplish it. That scene with Yoda sort of searching through the camp, scrounging through the camp.
That's so good.
Absolutely hysterical, and it
his little pattering feet, and he's just like, ah.
How you get so big eating food like this?
Yeah, I was just
like it's just so fighting back and forth with the light for R2 with it's like
my God,
it's so literally hilarious. 2 puppets just scrapping it out. It's absolutely hysterical. And
R2,
then
let him have it.
And then in one of the more, I mean, it's like a Kaiser Soze moment where it all back in Yoda's hut, Luke is being just his typical whiny little bitch self.
Looking for a great warrior.
Have you seen him? Why'd you take me to see Yoda? Oh. And, and Yoda's getting fucking irritated with him. Yep. And then it's just all of a sudden, it's like, he cannot be taught. And you just see the veil lift. And the way they accomplished that with the music and the lighting and the puppetry was fan-fucking-tastic. Like, they did with a puppet what most actors would kill to be able to learn to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
With that switch, and then all of a sudden, we realize, oh no. Well, I think most people realized he was Yoda right off the bat, but that switch where it's no longer the creepy little swamp hermit funny dude.
I don't think we would have realized it if we watched it if we were like 7 or 8.
I don't remember the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
But
it was unfortunate for me to have watched Return of the Jedi first, because a lot of like the surprise twists I already knew. So, the greatest line in Empire, which we'll get to about the father.
No, I've already covered it. The second greatest line we'll get to. Yeah, absolutely.
The first. Well, what are the 2 most iconic quotes in Star Wars are both from Empire Strikes Back, right? I think there's the I am your father line, and then do or do not, there is no try, which is a hugely, and people use that as a quote to this day. as
I
a
mean, this
quote for
movie is infinitely more quotable than the other two. I mean, for sure.
Use the Force is a pretty good one.
Use the Force is a solid one, but it's.
Or
I mean,
Obi-Wan has trained you well. That's used an awful lot.
Obi-Wan has trained you well.
Yeah. Well, and then let's get into it. There's just when he's fighting Vader in the carbonite chamber, and he trips, falls over his own deck, falls into the carbonite vat or processing chamber, whatever you want to call it, falls into it. Vader turns around, and as Vader turns around to hit the button, Luke goes flying up, and Vader's like, "Got the little motherfucker." It's like, "Oh, impressive, most impressive."
Yep.
I mean, that's Vader's dropping lines left, right, and center in this.
But I love that. I love that fight too because Vader. It's all one-handed with Vader. He's just like, whatever. He's like, just come on, just one hand. And Luke
he knows he's gonna win.
Oh, he knows.
Yeah,
like he's like, I'm just playing with you.
Because as opposed to Jedi when they fight, Luke's with one hand. Vader is giving everything he's got with both.
Yeah,
and he can't keep up. It's like total reversal of positions.
Yes,
and it's just so cool to see Luke's growth.
And Vader at this point in Jedi, Vader's going for the win. In this one, Vader has a goal.
Yeah.
Vader doesn't need to kill him. Vader wants to turn him.
Yep.
At this point, the priority is to get Luke in front of the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, now he's trying to overpower him to show him the sheer power of the dark side, right?
Yeah, like I mean, it's a bit more higher consequences, but it's like a dad play fighting with his kids. Right, you can Elmer Fudd them all day you want, right? Just hand on the forehead. It's like, come on, what are you gonna do? It's like, oh no, little pokey thing here or there.
Figure it out. You can do it. Figure it out.
Yeah.
I did watch the Phantom Menace between A New Hope and Empire, and my God, the difference in the dueling is just like you watch the Duel of the Fates at the back, and just the quickness of how they spin. Like it's just so much better in the prequels. Right. Then I watched the battle between Luke and Darth Vader. I'm like, this lightsaber duel is horrible compared to.
Yeah. Well,
I like the old school duels myself.
It's more methodical, right? It's not about like flash and dash.
For me, it's too much flash and too much shit.
Oh, I like it though, man. Like
less is more.
But then you also have Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon facing arguably one of the best duelists of this that the Sith has ever had, right? So you have to elevate his lightsaber game to the point where you have to prove it in a battle.
Well, and they put Ray Park in that role, and Ray Park is
so
legit
good.
Martial arts badass.
Well, exactly.
I mean, he played Toad in X-Men, and he also
he's a famous
stunt
guy,
right?
for action movies,
and he is a legit badass. I think the big thing is in Star Wars, it's an old man fighting another old man who is
in a suit,
not able to do what he's used to be able to do because he's missing several limbs, and he doesn't get the workout he used to get. Like even in the comic book series, Vader was much more active in his Volume 2, which was after the original trilogy and before, or after this prequel trilogy, but before the originals. And he's not as mobile in the first two volumes of Star Wars. That's
he's hindered by his battle armor because he has to. He literally has no arms and no legs. They're all cyborged onto him, right? So,
right, and that's not, and that's a huge part of the problem. And then you have when he's fighting Luke, even in his state, it's like it's like Foreman and Tyson. It's just two heavyweight dudes pounding it out. Luke is untrained. All he knows how to do is just swinging the lightsaber around like every other idiot kid that had a cardboard Christmas wrapper tube on the December the 23rd. It's like, oh, I got a lightsaber, and he's just bashing. He's got he's had no formal training with it. There's nobody around to train him with it, so he's just figuring it out himself. He is not Indigo Montoya, right? So it's just
he killed his father.
Prepared to die.
Like Vader is not Anakin Vader is not even the Vader of 20 years ago, because
Did he have 6 fingers on his right hand too? Or
Probably.
I mean, it's robotic, so if he wanted it, sure, why not?
Absolutely, right? Sorry.
You know,
you just stick up 2 middle fingers.
Yeah, hey, that's a different. That's a different.
Hey, you know what? There's a joke there, but you know, I'll leave that to the single guy. Anywho, yeah. So I think there's the old school battles. They didn't have the choreography. They didn't think of it, but it kind of works out in the fact that it's 2 old men. And then it's a guy that has no idea what to do other than turn the thing on versus a guy that's really only trying to. He doesn't need to kill him. He doesn't want to kill him. Versus now it's a guy that is just trying to hammer his way through a wall, and another guy that is just trying to hammer back the other direction.
Yeah.
And they don't have the ability and the training left in them to be able to pull off those old school duels.
No.
Right. And that's, I mean, and let's be realistic. Why? Because nobody thought about it in 1982 when they were filming Jedi.
No.
Or
You also didn't.
when they were filming Empire.
You also didn't have the training budget to have actors in months of training before you started shooting.
No,
right?
Not at
so
all.
you kind of just had to train them bare bones for fight choreography, basically, right? So
well, that's why when you go back to some of those old kung fu movies, you know, Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee are doing their own stuff because they can.
Well, they can,
right. It's not sending an actor to 6 months of combat training, right? It's not. It's just not wasn't the thing, and until you know people started getting on it, you see it in, especially in a military or a police type training scenario.
Yeah,
what we'd see on the TV in the 70s. And movies in the 70s and 80s are not how it's done in combat scenarios. And
I mean, you just advance in training.
You see a bunch more of it now because they've gone, well,
we've got to make it look real.
We're going to have somebody come in and show you how to hold the gun. We're going to come in and have somebody show you how to kick down this door.
Although right? I did watch a couple of training videos with Hayden Christensen, and he's legit. Like his movements in the training video, like he's doing it for real at full speed. Like, so
have you watched Obi-Wan yet?
No, I haven't. Dude, I don't have. I'll get there, but so much stuff to watch.
He needs some vacation time to catch up.
Mike, I can't just watch TV all day. I have a job.
You have 19 TVs at your job.
You think I can put? I could.
Probably you could put Obi-Wan on the one of them. You don't have to let the dialogue.
The playoffs are on right now. I think in the 6.5 hour game one kind of.
That was a long game. Anyways.
So I mean, it's part of it is there's a I don't even want to say a logic, but you can find that retcon logic for why the lightsaber battles are different between the originals and then everything that followed. But yeah, I mean, the filming Star Wars was brutal. That's why Ewan McGregor decided the best way to use his vacation time was to get on a motorcycle and drive through half of the world that is unpopulated.
Escape from it.
It was less stressful for him. And if you ever get around to watching Long Way Round, believe me, when he says it was slightly less stressful, and you see some of the shit they go through in Mongolia and Siberia, and it's just like less stressful than filming Star Wars. Okay. That's saying a lot, right?
Empire does give us the introduction to Boba Fett as well.
It does. And this is
all too short of for how popular that toy was and how popular the character was. He was in Empire for what, 4 seconds?
Yeah, I mean,
and then he argues with. Well, he doesn't argue, but he calls out Darth Vader, and Darth Vader actually respects him in a way.
Yeah,
it's like, well, you said he was mine. He goes, the plans have changed, right? But he doesn't budge on getting Han Solo, right? Yeah. Which is not a lot of people can step up to Darth Vader, and as well, you can see the switch in his power level too. Like Darth Vader leveled up between the two movies because he's now in command. Whereas in Star Wars, he was under the command of General.
Well, the thing is, it's the only guy that. So he's the left hand of the Empire, and Tarkin was the right. So all of a sudden, there's only one hand.
Now, right now it's just
he
Darth Vader.
He is the hand of the king, There is no left hand, right hand. There is no incident commander priority or base commander priority. It's Vader is the right hand of the Emperor. He's making battlefield promotions by force choking to death 2 separate admirals.
Yeah,
he's not
through a monitor.
Through a monitor. Yeah, absolutely. I will go over there and apologize myself. Well, that's a bad fucking idea, bro.
Do that.
I will take full responsibility. I'm like, I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah, you want to blame an underling somewhere.
Yeah. It was Bob over there in engineering. He did it.
Yeah, it's that guy playing Galaga.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
So and Vader, and he's got clear way to go. And I don't know if it's so much of a level up as much as it is he now gets to be unchecked except for the Emperor.
Yeah.
He's got nobody that's going to tell him anything other than the Emperor, and it's quite clear.
Yeah.
Right?
I do like, I mean, skipping ahead a bit, I do like the double turn by Lando.
Right?
At the end, because he sells them out, but then he also brings them back.
Yeah.
So to speak, right?
Yeah.
Like, so he sells them out to Darth Vader because he has no choice, but then later on he also lets them escape by turning on the Empire.
Well, I mean, he had taken over the city, he had people to protect, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, he was put in an unwinnable situation. It's like, look, we will lay to waste this entire place unless we get those 3.
Yeah.
And he only knows 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then he's like, I don't give a this guy is going with this guy because he done fucked somebody up. And Lando knows Jabba.
Oh, sure.
Lando knows Han. So he's like, yep, this motherfucker will screw you over. I'm looking at him land the ship he stole from me in a card game. Or, cheated to win back.
He won it
in a fair and square.
One fair and square.
He out-cheated Lando is what he did, and we saw that in Solo. However,
that Lando was cheating as well, though.
Oh, yes. He out-cheated him. It was like watching Ric Flair versus Harley Race. Both of them are cheating their balls off.
Woo!
Right? And he's got a legit axe to grind. It's like, all right, I'll turn this guy over to Jabba, and that's fine. Chewie's fine. He's staying here. I don't know who this chick is. I'll hang on to her. Yeah, that's cool. They get this other guy I've never heard of. No skin off my nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, one of the more iconic lines, like, that wasn't the deal. I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. And you're just like, oh, that was a straight up power move. And Lando's like,
all right, then.
Yep. Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
We're good.
Fair enough.
My name's Paul, and it's between y'all. And, he does. He got screwed over. His people are now in danger. The Empire is staying. He's probably gone, oh, they really fucked my boy up. That went too far. And had his Han Solo moment somewhere deep in the subcockle region of his heart and went, nope, I've done fucked this up. We gotta
save these guys. Yeah,
we gotta get these guys out of here. Chewie means something to me. This lady's clearly got something going on, and this is not. I didn't want this. Like, we've all made those mistakes. We've made a choice, and it's gone. Oh, I didn't want this. This is not what I wanted.
Yeah,
and he's had that moment, and so it's like, all right, everybody out of the pool. He pulls the evacuation, and he has a change of heart. He becomes the hero character. He, like Seb said, he had a couple of turns there, real quick, and
it's a nice moment for his character too.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because he's like, I'm doing the right thing, but in the moment I had no choice but to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I did the right thing in the moment, this whole place would have been destroyed. My life would have been dead. Like, everyone would have been killed.
And thousands of people.
Yeah. So,
if not tens of thousands, right? Like, he has a responsibility to the many. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, right? I know it's the wrong Star franchise to say that, but that was his choice. And then he realized, like, no, this whole thing is just going to suck an egg. So everybody out of the pool.
At the end, do you guys think it's weird when Luke jumps into down the hole? Like, do you think that Like, how did he know? How did he know that he was going to be?
I don't think he did.
I think he was just jumping to stick the hell away from Vader, and he just
was it suicidal? Was he like
yes,
either
I firmly believe that was him going.
Either I turn.
I don't want to go with you, because I'll turn, so I have to take my own life, basically.
Yeah. And he was just. I think he was just kind of surprised when he got to the end of that waterfall lake or water slide lake tube. And then he realizes that, oh shit, now I'm hanging from an antenna at the bottom of this thing. And he throws up he sees the Falcon and he throws out the Hail Mary, right? It's like, okay, if he hadn't seen the Falcon leaving, I mean,
did he see it though, or did he just?
I don't know, actually.
I always thought he just called out to her, hoping they were still around.
That could have been it too.
Right.
I could have sworn he saw
Maybe
it, but that I could be misremembering that. But either way, he throws out the Hail Mary.
Yeah, because he's like upside down.
I'd like to think that the Force probably told him to jump. Like, I can't see him. I don't know. I've always wondered about that. Like, why did he jump?
Yeah,
I get that he didn't want to get captured. I get that he didn't want to get turned, and obviously he feels if he stayed that he would eventually been turned by Vader. So he's like, my only choice is to get away from this guy, and my only way out is down into this hole, into this down.
Okay, so you think it's more of a leap of faith or some sort of guided.
I don't think it was suicidal. I can't be. Right? I think it was just like.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to disagree with you on that because at some point in the 90s, I realized that Luke is a whiner, and I've gone off on that a couple of times. He's a whiner, and he doesn't want to get his way. He's going to have a little temper tantrum.
He's a Skywalker. That's what they did.
And you see it because people are like, oh, why is he a hermit? Because he's a fucking whiner and he didn't get his way. So he took his ball and went, right? And I thought it was just a straight. I realized it was just a straight up suicide move because he's like, I am not going to join you to hunt down my friends. Yeah. No, I'm out.
Screw you guys. I'm out of here.
Deuces. Right.
So okay,
I was with you on board with the leap of faith thing for a long time. And I was like, no, I just don't see it in that character. So quick, one more point, Seb, because Mike does have a heart out. So fire away, close it out.
I was just gonna ask two questions to close it out. Number one, where does this rank out of the three for you? Because this used to be my favorite, but I really like Return of the Jedi. It's like a 1A and a 1B for me.
Okay.
And
yeah, it's just this is probably my favorite. I was the same way. It was Jedi for the longest time because it was the only one I'd seen in theaters.
Mm-hmm. I'll update it when we talk about Return next week, basically.
Yeah, please.
And is there anything that you would change about this film? Any aspect of any situation, or is it just the perfect movie?
Yeah. I would give them better spacesuits when they go outside the Falcon. Because they're on an asteroid with no atmosphere.
They have a mask. How does their skin not freeze, man?
Right?
They're in the belly of the beast. It's warm.
Come on.
Even inside the worm.
Yep.
And how does a worm living in outer space?
Hey,
it can't be. Well, you know what? We don't know what's out there, so I'm gonna give them that. Okay, there might be space worms. It's just
how do those bodies just not easily freeze, right? Like
how did the Minox survive in there then too?
Exactly.
Do it on power cables all day long? I don't think so.
No, they're in there chewing on whatever that boy's had for dinner.
Yeah. Asteroids? Like what the hell is that? What is the worm eating?
Always bothered me. Yeah. Because you flew into what you thought is a cave. You're like, okay, well, let's go outside. You put on this little thing, you die.
You
die. Even assuming that there is somewhat gravity available on this asteroid that is somehow spinning fast.
Yeah, that's just so weird.
Gravity.
Do you guys know how unrealistic asteroid belts actually are in movies?
Do you know how unrealistic Star Wars is in general?
No, but just in general, like every time you see somebody flying through an asteroid belt, it's like they're being pelted by rocks. Like in reality, the distance between like one asteroid and the next is like hundreds of miles.
Oh,
like it's
thousands of that.
You would never be in like an asteroid storm. Like it's just not possible.
Because it's like, how do we get our space probes through the belt to get to the further out planets to check them out, right?
It just goes through. There's no way it's going to get, like, the likelihood if you send a satellite through an asteroid belt, the likelihood that it's going to hit an asteroid is so minimal.
It's probably slim.
Yeah, I think they got a lot of the perspective right, because some of those asteroids are giant, like the one they land on.
Yeah,
absolutely
looks
giant.
like a planet. The one, or like a small moon.
Yeah. Exactly, right. Which is why I can kind of give them a little bit of credit. So maybe it's spinning fast enough to have some gravity. Yeah. But yeah, they're not as close as anybody would like you to believe. All right. Any final thoughts, Mikey? You got a heart out here.
I love this movie, and I don't know. It's just awesome.
It is a good movie.
Of the original 3, almost of all 9, it's right up there. 1A, 1B with me. In terms of quality, it's number 1. For sure.
I think it's got the best dialogue out of the 3 for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Although we'll see when I watch Return of the Jedi next week.
And I think
Jedi doesn't hold up for me anymore for some reason. I don't know.
Well, we'll get into that next week. Yeah. For me, I'm calling this 1. I don't even know if I have. It's probably my favorite of the bunch, but it's one of those things where it's the difference between first and third, or like the blink of an eye, right? I think part of the reason this one holds up is the rebels just take a shit kicking through the entire movie.
That's what I love.
It's darker. It's the darkest one.
The good guys don't win, right? And that's you never see that in movies anymore.
There's an old line that Taz used to say: "Win if you can, survive if I let you."
Yep.
They didn't win, but they survived.
They barely survived. Yeah.
Mostly intact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly. All right. Well, thanks, boys, for getting this done. Happy birthday, Empire Strikes Back.
Birthday.
Welcome to 43.
Happy birthday.
Young pup. We will be back next week. We're going to wrap up Star Wars month a few days after the 40th birthday of Return of the Jedi. We'll be talking everything Jedi that we can squeeze in.
And it will be Saturday morning. It
will be Saturday morning. Okay, so
most likely.
Into this. Sorry for those of you that were tuning in. It's been a bit of a week over here on several parts, so it's a little juggling. Join us next Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Same at the end time, same at the end YouTube and Facebook channels. Everything Jedi as we wrap up Star Wars, and we will announce what's coming up the pipe for June.
Absolutely.
Bye, everybody.
May the Force be with you all.
And also with you.